Welcome to Peralta Matters. I am your host, Jay Calhoun. This is the first of 2 episodes dealing with the Summer of Science. So, sit back, relax, and let's get into what matters here at Peralta.
I'm Congresswoman Barbara Lee. Join me in watching Peralta TV.
Welcome back to the Summer of Science here on Peralta Matters. I am your host, Jay Calhoun. We are now joined by Laney student Maha Mostafi. How are you, Maha?
I'm great, and you?
Outstanding. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Let's talk first about your decisions to move on from Laney and what you'll be doing once you move on.
Okay, well, so for the fall semester, I'm hoping to transfer to UC Berkeley.
Outstanding.
And I'll be majoring in molecular and cell biology with an emphasis on cell and developmental biology.
With the emphasis behind?
Pre-med, I'm pre-med.
There we go, right on, excellent.
I'm a pre-med student, so.
Let's talk a little bit about your science career here at Laney College. When did it begin? I remember talking off camera, say 13 years old here.
That was a math class.
Okay.
But yeah, I started Laney when I was 13 years old. I believe the very first science class I took was geography.
Right on.
Yeah.
Right on.
So that was when I was in 11th grade. It was the fall semester. And I took geography with Professor Rauzon. And after that, I've taken pretty much every science that Laney's had to offer.
Right on.
I've taken general chemistry, I'm taking organic chemistry, taken biology, microbiology, physics. I'm pretty experienced with all the science departments at Laney, so.
Give me your personal opinion of what you gained from the sciences at Laney College.
Well, I've gained a lot. Of course, I've gained knowledge, but then I've also learned how to apply the knowledge that I've gained to real world situations. Like, I remember when I was in Professor Rauzon's geography class, and he taught us why the sky was blue. So it's due to this phenomenon called Rayleigh scattering.
Okay.
Whenever my friends make a joke that the reason the sky is blue is because it's the reflection of the ocean, I quickly correct them. I'm like, no, it is not. It's due to Rayleigh scattering.
Right.
So
do you go into the full explanation?
I do explain to them what Rayleigh scattering is.
Excellent.
So I find that what's more important than the knowledge is actually that you're able to apply it to different things. Like in my math class, calculus, we learned how to calculate blood density in vessels using calculus and integrals.
Right.
And we also learned how, we learned economic aspects, real world examples like if you went to Vegas, how much money you could spend and still get some of that money back.
Right.
So it's really just how you apply the knowledge you learn. So.
Talk a little bit about how being a student at Laney prepares you or prepared you for the next step, be it Cal or some other college.
Well, it helps because the classes at Laney are a lot smaller. There's more, the teachers care about you more. There's more time for you to ask questions. And I have friends who've graduated university, but they're coming back to Laney because they didn't do so well in the classes they took at the university. So just having a teacher here that pays attention to your problems and that you have time to ask questions to helps you do better in the class, and by doing better in the class you get better grades in university. We
talked a little off camera about the differences between the sciences when it applies to your medical career. Tell our viewers a little bit about why that's important, why science are important to your medical career.
Well, being a doctor is all science. It's how your body works. How your body works is all science. There is elements of math. You have your anatomy, you have how your organs work, you have why they work, you have how they're structured to help their function. Your organs are structured in order to help the function that it does. And so there's physics behind it. There's everything behind it. So it's just science is life. Life is science.
Ah, I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
So in your years to come, after you win all the awards and do all the surgeries and make all the research and foundations, what can you say about the Laney science programs or even the Peralta science programs that helped you forward you on this new career of medical magistry?
That I wouldn't be there without Laney.
Outstanding. Outstanding.
If Laney wasn't here, I wouldn't be where I am today. I'd still probably be in high school, which I graduated already.
Right, thank you.
Yeah, I graduated already. But yeah, without Laney, I wouldn't be where I will be in 10 years.
There you go.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that. Give me a little bit more about, or an experience, a specific one or two that gives you that motivation that you leave into this new world from Laney College with this strapping information and all of this knowledge.
Just all the opportunities that have been presented to me. I've been asked to be here today by my professor. He could have chosen any of the students he's had, but he chose me, so that makes me feel like I have a lot to offer. And so because opportunities are open, there's doors that I can go through, I feel like my whole future is pretty much open to anything right now.
It is.
And I could do anything. I know that actually when I go to university, there's an honors program where you're actually allowed to do research before you graduate, so you can even publish a paper before you graduate with a bachelor's.
Right on. Right
so a friend and I were trying to do that.
Already on that track.
Yeah, we're already thinking about doing research.
Outstanding, outstanding. Well, I'm glad to have you, Maha, and congratulations and good luck in the future.
Thanks for having me.
All right. That was Maha. We'll be right back in a few minutes with more Peralta Matters.
No matter what you've done in the past, you can start fresh from this point and successfully advance into the future. The professors and counselors at Laney College help me aim high and stay focused on my goals. I am Jamila Akua Williams, and Laney works for me. Where did that come from?
That's great though. Where'd that come from?
Welcome back to the Summer of Science at Peralta Matters. I'm your host, Jay Calhoun. Now joined by Laney instructor Mark Rauzon. Mark, welcome to the show.
Hey, Jay. Nice to be here.
Right on, man. Let's first talk about the science departments at Laney College. One, how you guys doing now that we've had bond measures passed and getting back to work? And two, what are your focus for the 2013 year?
Well, we're happy that we are getting some more funds to recover from the damage that was done.
Good word.
Yeah, we are in a hole. We're finally crawling out, and it's a brave new world out there. We're hoping to in fact, there's a whole new science building plan to be built.
There we go.
Yeah.
You heard it here on Peralta Matters.
Yeah, we're going to be not only building a new science department, but the environmental management technology is going to be building a new environmental science building next to the tennis courts. So 10 years from now, we're going to be on top of the world in terms of science.
I like it.
So maybe the setback was good for us to pull the troops together and plan for the future, because the future is very bright.
Excellent.
And that's really exciting.
Let's talk, we were talking a little off camera for a minute, about some of the misnomers of science and how the Laney Science Department or even the Peralta Science Departments are trying to change or encourage new theories in their teaching. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, we're just like we're talking about the financial thing. In cultural society, there's a real pushback against science. We've gotten so loosey-goosey in what passes for science. You know, we're not really asking the tough questions. You know, what is science? It's basically a proof-based philosophy. And so we're going to be doing research, we're going to be doing analysis, and we're going to be proving or disproving our analysis. And so the culture, I think, at large has become sort of anti-science because people don't know what it is and they're afraid of it. So you're afraid of what you don't, what you don't know about, you're afraid of. So what our perspective is trying to make it user-friendly. So let's take the fear, the sting out of science and make it because science is everything we do. We're moving through a atmosphere held by gravity. These are all scientific principles that people have an innate experience of, but intellectually they don't. Why? Because they think it involves numbers. And so science equals numbers, and numbers are, we don't like them because they're hard to control. So we're trying to make, for example, in geography, we're trying to make it more experiential, contextual, like how does this apply to you in your life? And believe it or not, people do really respond to having a new way of getting their particular experiences understandable to them in a science-y context. And one of the key ways of doing that is getting students out of the classrooms.
There you go. Putting
them into the real world. Especially Laney is blessed by having this estuary flow, and twice a day tides are coming. We have outdoor mud flats to explore. We're testing the water quality. We're downstream from Lake Merritt. Lake Merritt's going through some big changes, as we all know. So we're monitoring that in Geography Lab. And that involves asking a question, what's changing, and then getting data. And by the end of the semester, think, oh, science is not hard. I like this. It's fun. We're playing. But why not? I mean, why should science be an enemy? Let's make it fun.
I agree.
Let's make school fun.
That's the point.
Yeah, that's the point. That's the trick.
Yeah. You talked a little bit about your particular class in geography, and we also talked a little off camera about the popularity now of some of the things that are going on around Laney. How is it in your class? What's the atmosphere of the student involvement in your class?
Well, the starts off really, tenuous, tentative. But the wonderful thing is, as we get to know each other and we build a relationship, we build really a classroom community.
Outstanding.
Trying to be informal, trying to go with people's personalities, trying to just acknowledge everyone's an adult, everyone's responsible for their own space and their own relationship. And by the end of the semester, it's kind of sad to let them go. Because we finally got them to be the community that we want to be. They're interacting, they're asking questions, they're engaged. And then there you go. You're fledged out to the outer world. And you kind of want to, I kid my students, say, well, we've gotten to this point, I'm not going to let you go. We're all going to get a D and we're going to come back here and carry on from here. That doesn't go
too well.
But it's a sense, because you don't want to lose the family that you've worked so hard. And the people that don't want to be there, they've self-selected out. And so you get with the students who want to be there, and they're into it.
Built for such a great learning environment.
Yeah, and it's exciting, because our world right now is under such incredible challenge with global warming. And global warming is based on science. It's based on atmosphere, it's based on chemistry, and it ends up affecting the biology. So the wonderful thing is geography can pull all those things together, while a chemistry class would be limited to, say, carbon dioxide parts per million, or the biology department might be limited to temperature range and how an animal relates to it. But geography is able to look at temperature, atmosphere, and the human interaction.
That's outstanding.
In food, water, air, and our relationship to all the other living creatures. So it's a good time to be teaching, even though we're teaching about a very dire subject. So.
Well, I don't think it's too dire, and I appreciate you coming on, Mark. Thanks for coming on the show.
All right, thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure, man.
My pleasure.
All right. That was Mark, Laney professor. We'll be right back in a few minutes.
I'm a veteran, and I was looking into some of the trades. Signing up for classes at College Alameda was really easy because you have the online stuff, and then the administration building was really helpful. The VA department, speaking with the dean, it was really easy to just get all the paperwork done and get going in the class. It's an easy transition from the military in Iraq to coming into here.
My first instructor, he wasn't that articulate, but he used to say, you gots to read the book.
The EMT program, it's very intense. If you're not prepared to study, then don't even bother to show up. There's a lot of people in the class who want to be firefighters, myself included.
I want to be a nurse.
Some of them are going to go on to be doctors, like this guy. Going to be a neurosurgeon.
I want to go to medical school, so this is like, you can get some great experience, some great knowledge, and you're going to learn every single part of it.
bleeding control, CPR, mobilization of the spinal cord. The true skill is the assessment. When they can come in and recognize a cardiac event, recognize a stroke.
You see somebody just sweating and can't breathe very well, and by asking a couple questions, you're able to figure it out, so it makes you feel really good.
I can't teach them everything in here, but if I can just get them started with thinking about assessments, that's the true skill.
Being an EMT just really opens a lot of doors.
And after that, everything falls in place.
Welcome back to the Summer Science here on Peralta Matters. I'm your host, Jay Calhoun. We are now joined by BCC student Robin Kang. Robin, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. So let's first talk about your, I guess I'd say, trajectory from college back to college.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about that.
Well, I would like to start off by saying everyone in our program, the biotechnology program at Berkeley City, we come from all paths of life, and we come from different backgrounds. We all have, some of us have degrees, others don't, and we're all kind of there to learn and work hard and have a great experience. So it really doesn't matter what kind of background you come in with. I think it has to do with how interested you are in the sciences and how hard you're willing to work. So I took a different path than most students. So I graduated from UC Berkeley. I graduated in integrative bio and public health. So after I graduated, I had no idea what I was going to do. And I was applying to jobs, but wasn't really having much luck. And then I just, I saw a catalog for Berkeley City College, and I saw a course I really wanted to take, which is molecular genetics. And I just decided to sign up for it, and I had no idea about the biotechnology program at the time. So I took my genetics course, and I found out more about the program and was more and more interested in it, and really got more involved in the biotech program, and here I am. And so it was a great experience for me, and it really helped me learn a lot in post-graduation, graduating from a 4-year university and going into, a more focused program that's smaller and more close-knit. It helped me a lot.
Good. Sounds like it did.
Yeah.
Let's talk about a little how it helps you as far as what we call, or what is now termed, CERM.
Yes.
So before we get too far into it, give our viewers a little bit about the background of what CERM means and what it does.
Okay, gladly. So CERM stands for the California Institute of Regenerative Medicine. And Berkeley City College, the biotech program at Berkeley City College, got a $2.4 million grant from CERM to allow 8 to 10 students to allow students to work in actual labs for about 10 months and get a real hands-on experience in a lab of their choice and working on a project in that time, and then presenting their work at a conference in July. And so it's actually a great opportunity for students like me who don't really come in with much lab experience, and actually applying the skills you learn in courses like genetics, courses like immunology, and the lab component at Berkeley City, and apply it to a real life lab, and just it really puts you at a great upper hand when you're actually applying for jobs and working in an actual laboratory setting.
Now I guess naive brain thinks, laboratory, okay, some tubes, some liquids, you move around. What would you actually be doing in your CERM lab? What are you actually researching or participating in?
Okay, yeah, so a lot of us, so all my cohort of interns, all of us are doing something different. All of us are working in different labs. We have a different focus. My lab in particular is very genetic based, and so I work in the Costello lab at Helen Diller Cancer Center at UCSF. Thank you. Thank you. So yeah, so their focus, they work with glioblastomas. So that's a very aggressive and common form of brain cancer. And so they really look at mutations in patients who have these tumors and see how they're altered from their normal DNA, and see if any of these mutations can be classified as driver mutations, which means maybe they have a link in driving these cancers and their progression. So yeah, so my role is actually very small in the overall project, but I've learned a lot, and I actually look at patients' tumor DNA and compare it with their normal and actually make sure these mutations are present. And if they are, then we then move forward and we actually test it in a stem cell line to see if these mutations cause a change in expression. So yeah,
pretty impressive.
It's really, really, 9 months ago I had no idea.
Right, now look at you,
But
right?
yeah, so I've come a long way.
We're going to wrap it up real quick, but I want to hear what you would say to a science student coming into BCC. What would you tell them about the program?
What would I tell them? Okay, I could go on for days. But so I would actually tell them that BCC, the biotech program at BCC is excellent, excellent. The skills that they teach you in a lab, because the courses have lab components, and everything I learned in my genetics lab, for example, I'm using in my lab right now, and it really gave me the foundation and the confidence I needed to work in an actual lab, and it's a small program, and it's had so much of an effect on me coming from a four-year university, which says a lot. And it's a smaller, closer-knit community, and I get a lot of mentorship from my instructors, the program director, my mentor in my internship right now. So it's actually really nice because it's a smaller program, and you get the attention, and you kind of you feel like your instructors really care, and their dedication really motivates me especially, and so that really makes me want to do well and go in and apply the things that I learn from these courses into a real lab setting.
Excellent.
And that I've been able to do that. So I think it's a great program for anyone even remotely interested in the sciences, especially if they want to go into research. And I really want to say that it doesn't matter if you come in with research experience or a strong science background. This program is for anyone that's really interested in pursuing research. So it was a great experience for me.
Excellent. It looked like it's proven itself. Thank you, Robin, for coming on the show. It's been great.
Thank you.
Right.
Thanks for having me.
We were just talking to Robin Kang, student at BCC. We'll be back in a few minutes with Peralta Matters.
BCC is awesome. Other colleges that I've been at, it's more like students keep to themselves. You're in class and then out. But at Berkeley, you make friends and people who want to help you. It's a collaborative experience. If it's something that you really want to do, then you should definitely come check us out.
All aboard!
We are back with the Summer of Science here on Peralta Matters. I'm your host, Jake Calhoun. We are now joined by BCC instructor Brandon Celaya. Brandon, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you very much for having me.
Let's talk a little bit first about what you do at Berkeley City College.
I teach two courses at Berkeley City College. One is a course in genetics, which we call molecular genetics. Gives students a background into how genetics is done in the laboratory setting, as well as some of the theoretical basis. The other course that I teach is a sequence of biotechnology courses that we use to bring the students sort of up to speed on sort of the new way that biotechnology is being done.
Right on. Robin gave us a little bit of an insight as to what goes on in the science departments at Berkeley City College. And one of the things she made mention to is how she was readily prepared for not only her internship, but anything else that she goes on to. Discuss a little bit about how you guys approach your students as a more of a hands-on or a theoretical versus practical approach.
Yeah, having students that understand all of the material in the textbook is great, but if they want to get a job and if they want to succeed in the workplace, they're going to need those hands-on skills. And so we're constantly changing the labs up and trying new things at Berkeley City to make the courses that we teach a little bit more interesting, and also try and keep them up to date with what a lot of the biotech companies and the academic settings are hoping to get out of our students.
How do you do that? How do you keep science interesting?
Well, you keep it interesting by virtue of the fact that science is always changing. It's not been the same in the 20 years since the department got started, and so we have new challenges. The students use computers a lot more. It's not new anymore. It's something that they have to be familiar with. And so we integrate a lot of new kinds of research tools into the sorts of experiments the students do in the classroom.
We talked a little bit about that before. Give us a background about that. You said the program started 20 years ago.
That's right.
And in the 20 years since, the technology, has it helped, hindered? How has it worked for you?
Well, technology is great because it does give us the chance to do more things. As I said, having the ability to sequence a bacteria in 2 or 3 days is wonderful, but being able to have someone that can sit at the computer, understand that information, and make it a useful tool, that's what we're hoping to create, is that student that is not just a machine operator, but a thinker.
We talked a little bit more off camera about the connection between UC Berkeley and BCC, and not so much on the transfer of all the students that we would see go through Berkeley City College, but on the shared, I guess, governance or information as it applies to science and as it applies to biotech or gen ed, so to speak. Talk a little bit about how you play a part in that.
Well, I teach at both schools, but that's not really the specific part about how we work well together. I think California is wonderful in the sense that we have great public schools and great community colleges. And many of the research tools that UC Berkeley has and that they use in their laboratories, most of the faculty and staff are very generous about giving those kinds of tools to the community colleges to use in our laboratories, as well as hosting many of our students in their laboratories to get practical experience.
Which I'm sure is totally beneficial to the maturation of their
We like to
careers.
think so. Yeah, we like to think so.
Another teacher spoke a little bit about some of the challenges, I guess it is, as bringing science into discussion of everyday academia. It kind of still has that stigma or that faux pas of science. How do you approach that, or how do you direct your students to address those issues?
Well, one of the things that's very important for us is scientific literacy, and the students really need to be able to speak to a variety of topics in science. And so we have no fear in discussing the most recent findings in science. And one of the great things about how science operates is that we're constantly changing our ideas and changing how we look at the world based on new data that we get through the laboratory.
We know now how CERM helps students. How does CERM help a BCC science department?
Well, what CERM does is it brings us a great crop of students that are excited about research, that are excited about biology, and excited about pursuing really innovative and exciting projects in laboratories, both in an academic setting as well as in an industrial setting. So it gives us the opportunity to really harvest a great crop of students, as well as develop our curriculum and offer kinds of courses that make those students want to come back and hopefully tell their friends about it.
Right. Brandon, I want to thank you again for coming on the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Right on. That was Brandon Celaya, instructor at BCC. We'll be right back in a few minutes with Peralta Matters.
I'm a mother of 6 children who decided to return to school 2 years ago. My education at Berkeley City College allowed me to fulfill my lifelong dream of attending a university. I plan to earn a master's degree in public health, and actually there's some problems that need to be fixed. So public health, if I can fix some problems, I'm going to do it, especially with a degree. I'm Maria Spencer, and Berkeley City College transformed my life.
It's been a long time. It's the return of GLP. Start feeling it easy, like, ground level perspective, we back, man. I am your host, Kim Wilson.
I still have to start at the ground level.
Ground level perspective. The wait is over, time is here. What's happening with you?
Pleasure, man, to see you balling like this.
This is ground level perspective.
Follow procedures. The crowd couldn't wait to see this.
Welcome back to Peralta Matters. I want to thank all our guests for coming on today, and stay tuned for our second part of the Summer of Science here at Peralta. Until then, do something that matters.
Peralta TV, programs that matter.